What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Black Fox here, back again with another custom video. In this video, I'll be working on this white Sprayground book bag and giving it a Demon Slayer custom. There's been a lot of Sprayground collabs that revolve with anime, but they haven't had any Demon Slayer collabs. And with the movie that just came out not too long ago, I would think they would have a collab. So this would be my interpretation if they would have the collab. Just to let you guys know ahead, I'm not sponsored by Sprayground, nor did I get this book bag for free. I just happened to buy a couple of blank book bags they did from a drop a while back. So stay tuned for some future videos with some book bags. Now with that being said, let's get started. Before we get to any leather preparations or customization, the first thing you want to do, you will have a solid surface to work with. As you see, the bag is pretty solid. The only reason why, because I stuffed the bag with blankets and towels. You can also use clothes, socks, but you're going to have to use a lot of them. Just enough to have something solid to work with. So you know,
Cliffe.
it may look like I just skipped ahead, but you always want to prep. So since I'm working with leather, you just want to use acetone cotton balls. Just take your time with taking off the finisher on the leather, which it took me about maybe an hour because the whole bag is leather. But yeah, just take your time and make sure you go over it twice or 3 times. There's nothing wrong with trying to get all the finisher off. You want this to be a usable backpack, otherwise the paint's going to crumble. Now that I got that out of the way, the next part I'm doing is lining up the reference picture. I want to try to make it fit on the face of the backpack as much as possible, and probably make a couple of tweaks to the image. Once I'm satisfied with the alignment, all I gotta do is just cut out the main area of the reference photo, and then I'll just trace it out and mask it up with tape. Now I'm just checking my alignments, making sure that it's where I want it to be at. I already kind of figured that I wasn't going to be able to trace it stably like this, so I had to use scotch tape on the back of the reference images to keep it in place.
Cliffe.
Now that the reference image is in place, all I gotta do is just trace around it, and then afterwards I'll just mask it off. Now I'm gonna mask off the reference area that I traced out with masking tape, so it'll be easier to paint the reference image rather than having to do touch-ups later on. It may sound unusual, but in my case, I decided to do from darkest to lightest. The only reason why, because if you try to touch up with lighter color on over darker colors, it takes a lot of coats and it takes a lot of time. To prevent this, I just started with the main base, which I decided to use
Cliffe.
opaque black from Jacquard with my airbrush and paint the entire bag black, and then work on to the lightest colors right after I put on the black coat. Just keep in mind, if you are using an airbrush, just have light coat and control spray. You don't want to cake on onto one area or go heavy on the entire backpack. It seems tempting, but it's not worth it. As soon as you use the backpack or flex it, it's going to crack right away. So light even coats is the way to go. One benefit to using a heat gun is you can speed up the drying process. Plus, you'll have to work on a whole bunch of sides with a backpack, so you want to make sure that you dry your paint before you flip over the backpack. Otherwise, it'll either look uneven or you'll get like dust and hairs on the paint, and you don't want that. So off camera, I did add some white to the front to make the lighter colors easier to apply with the airbrush. First, I'm applying is fluorescent orange, and I'll also be using fire red and bright yellow from Jacquard paint. One quick trick that you can apply when using an airbrush is if you're going for like a gradient look, the last color that you use, just add it on top of what color you're going to use next. So instead of cleaning it out entirely, just leave a little bit and then add majority of the next color. Then it'll make a gradient. You'll just have to have a controlled spray when you add that gradient. If you took your time during the preparation phase, when you take off the tape, it should look something like this. You will have crisp, clean lines all around. I don't know about you, but just taking off the tape, just seeing the crisp lines is oddly satisfying. Now it's time to go in detail with the reference image. So what I end up doing is using an X-Acto knife and just cut down the reference image into small sections, and I trace them out with a pencil. It makes it easier than trying to trace it by eye, and you can get a little more accuracy to the image.
Cliffe.
Now I'm just doing some touch-ups and some detail work with some Angel's black paint and the paintbrush. So I went back over with the flame, well, the edges of the flames, and used opaque white. So I can go over it with a little combination of bright yellow and fire red, just to give it that flame look.
Cliffe.
Now just go in with a paintbrush and do a little detail work and work on the gradients between the yellow and the orange. I just use Angela's yellow and orange. Now here's the fun part, is the detail in the reference image. I just started with different colors and try to go for anime shading. I just used yellow and orange, mix that together, and then I would darken it or lighten it up with brown, or I would use white. The brown just helps with the shading, and the white is pretty much just to slightly make it lighter for the lighter areas.
Cliffe.
Painting's all done. Detail work seems pretty nice. I'm gonna do an extra step with a marker and pretty much sharpen out any outlines that seem a little jagged. This is optional, but this is something that I usually prefer. If you are to use a marker, I would advise using a paint marker or an oil-based marker. If you use something that's outside of that, it's going to stick out and it's just going to look sloppy. This is pretty much it for the main part of the backpack, and I'm surprised it's actually better than I thought it was going to be. So the next part I'm going to work on is the Demon Slayer logo, which I'm going to add on the side of the bag. So I didn't do what I did for the front, where I would use an X-Acto knife. There is a little trick that I did that I'll show you later on in the video. So pretty much I'm just going to paint over the easier parts, and then I'm going to just use a toothpick to write out the lettering.
Cliffe.
Now here's a quick trick you can use with a toothpick rather than using an angular brush or one of those micro brushes. All you'll need is just a little bit of Angel's paint or leather paint, and pretty much use a toothpick like a pencil. You just don't need much. If you do have to go back over it to darken it, just do it in coats. That pretty much wraps up this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you like the video, comment if you like Demon Slayer, or if you just have an opinion about the backpack, what I should have done or probably should have added. Leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe as I make customs like these, and I also make sneaker restoration videos. This is Black Fox. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.